Hello, welcome to my podcast, Yorkshire Property Partners. In this podcast, we discuss the latest news and trends in the property market in the Yorkshire area. My name is Fiona Conway. I'm Director of Fiona Conway&Associates Mortgage Brokers based in Harrogate, and I am your host. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing you to Simon Roberts. Simon is the Director of R&W Lettings and Property Management. Hi, Simon.
Hi, Fiona.
Hi, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Are you okay?
Yeah, very well. Thank you very much.
Good. Like I say, thank you for coming on. Thanks for finding the time. I know you're busy, and I really appreciate you being on the show today. Thank you.
No problems.
So, firstly, would you just like to tell us a bit about you and your company?
Yeah, so I probably fell into property at an early age. My parents were very keen in property. We moved around a lot and everything like that, and they loved the property bug. So that probably was passed on to me. So soon after graduating from uni, I kind of fell into the property bubble of a job with quite an old agency, which a few people will remember, which unfortunately isn't around anymore. But that was Rent and a Rent, and they had the original property auction house as well as the sales. And then in December '99, I decided, along with my business partner, to go our own way. So we opened our own agency then, which was great, and we've grown slowly. And each year we've progressed, and then we opened we saw a demand for West Yorkshire, so we opened in Leeds in 2015. And I think recently we're just about coming up to the 400 unit mark, maybe a bit over it, hopefully today. So, like I say, we're not the biggest firm, we're not the smallest, but we're, very, very good at what we do, and very good at the size we are. We're very proud that with our company that you do get direct access to myself and to Guy, which is very rare. With a company, you actually do get access to the owners of the company via email or any which way you want, and we're always accessible. So yeah, everything's going in the right directions at the moment.
Absolutely. So I remember when we met in between lockdowns, and we were chatting for ages and ages and ages about the property market and how things have changed and what COVID's done really to the property market. Have you felt that there has been a change recently in the lettings market more than anything? Have you noticed any difference?
Yeah, like the sales market, there's been a big change. There's been a big demand. I think people haven't been able to move for a couple of years over COVID. So you've seen people move. You've seen people relocate job-wise. A lot of people maybe have got new jobs, new chances, and they've relocated. So we've seen a lot of relocation where people are moving in. I mean, as you know, in the area, we've had some big firms relocate from south to north and settled in Leeds or Manchester or those sort of areas. And Harrogate, Leeds being that sort of area, they're quite centrally located. So you can, like, we've got some tenants who work in Manchester and rent in Harrogate. Yeah. So a couple of hour drive doesn't bother him. So they're quite happy there. We've got excellent rail links as well around the country. So yeah, there's definitely been a big demand. It's starting to settle down, which is good. But the demand is still there. There's still a lot of people looking to rent. There's a lot of people post-grads coming in, and then you're also looking at people that have relocated and they like to rent before they buy. So
yeah, I've definitely noticed that as well. I've had quite a few inquiries from clients moving up from London. They've probably, they were born here, they've been brought up here, they've gone down to London for opportunities, for work, to earn a living, and then they've decided that maybe due to COVID, they've had the opportunity now to come back because of the hybrid working or working from home completely. They find that because there's such good rail connection, they can live here where maybe it's cheaper as well. Maybe they can reduce their mortgage or rent for a little while before they actually find a home they want to live in. And commute down to London as well to work. It's really common right now. Definitely finding that's been a huge change in the market.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We've got tenants, like you say, who living and working in London, and with the work from home opportunity of managed to split their week, and they've decided, well, do you know what, we're going to move back up north and live up north and move, get the train down to London. There's a direct train link from Harrogate to straight to London. So we've got tenants that have done that and are doing that, and they've relocated up. So I think there's plenty of options there for people.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, I mean, we've heard in the news recently, there's been some rises in the Bank of England base rate, a couple in probably quite a short period of time, which can make people feel a little uneasy. Property prices are quite high right now because of the demand. But I have landlords asking me all the time, is it still a good time for me to invest in property? What would you say to that, Simon?
Well, yes, going back to my youth again, I've always been brought up that bricks and mortar is definitely a safe bet where to put your money.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a great time to invest, to be honest, as long as it's a long-term plan. So you're looking at putting some money in, buying a few properties and renting it out over the next 10, 20, 30 years. It's a great opportunity for you to do it. If you look at the sales market over the last 10, 20, 30 years, it's been a steady incline in property prices all around the country. So, and certainly in Yorkshire, in North and West Yorkshire, the property market is very solid, very good. So yes, I would strongly recommend that. Since COVID and the demand, rental prices in certain areas have increased. We feel in the last 6-9 months, they've gone up on average 30% in some prices. So, if you buy the right property in the right area, I'm a big believer of contact a local agent, get their advice, ask where the demand is. It might be in a town, it might be in a particular catchment area, it might be a family housing, or in a city, it might be a certain area where flats are, where walking distance of train stations, lives and stuff like that. So it's very a big demand, but you've got to buy in the right area. But yeah, I'm a big believer that properties. I mean, I'm a landlord myself, so I wouldn't advise you to do something that I haven't done myself. So, I'm a big believer that property is a very, very good place to put your money. It's a safe place to put your money at the moment. Rather than having the money in the bank, it's a good place to put your money because you'll earn more than having it in the bank at the moment. And certainly, I do feel a lot of people enjoy doing it as well. A lot of landlords enjoy buying a house, doing it up, doing the old interior design of it and everything like that. And, they enjoy it. And then obviously one leads to two. We've got quite a few new landlords since COVID that have come on and just said, oh, we're just going to buy one or whatever. And some of them are on their third and fourth property now. The property house prices are higher, but if you get the right price you can still buy them out there. If you get the right property in the right area, you'll rent it. And if it's a long-term plan, it's definitely the way forward.
I think there is a bit of a property bug, like you say. I have a client who I started dealing with many, many years ago, and she was remortgaging the house that she lived in, and she was going to move into another home. She started renting that out. I think now she's on 7-8 properties, and I don't think that was ever really the plan. It's just that she just really, really enjoyed doing it, and like you say, doing them up, and also you are providing someone with a home as well. And I think she quite liked the idea of doing that too. Yes, it's a business and, you have to generate some income from it. But I think she liked the idea of providing someone with a home, and a nice home that she had looked after and that she would live in herself as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Property is a bug, whether you're buying, renovating and selling or buying, renting out. And yes, it's a business. You've got to buy with your head, not with your heart. It needs to be the right property in the right area at the right price, which is going to give you the right yield and obviously going to give you the capital growth you're going to get for it. You've got to put the right things in the property. We all would like certain things, but it is buying in the right area. But yeah, property is a massive bug. I think we've all had that. I think everybody does. If you're moving home, you suddenly get excited about viewing properties and looking around properties. And, I think we all know where we live, the street we live. If a neighbour's house comes on the market, we're the first ones to look how much our house is worth now. So, I mean, it is a bug, but also it's a very, very good investment because, like I say, if you look over the last 30 years, houses have had a very steady income in pretty much all areas.
Yeah, my dad used to say to me when I was a kid, you know, you need to start thinking about investment when you're young. You know, you need to try and do it when you're in your 20s, 30s. Because I think a lot of younger people may not think about retirement, but my dad said to me, you must always have a plan. And I'm speaking to clients now who are that age, and they've had that instilled into them as well. And they're thinking, right, okay, I want to move out of my home, buy a new home, rent that one out. And they're thinking about the long-term gain. And, you know, as we've said, the market can fluctuate, anything can happen in the short term, but hopefully in the long term, it'll be a safe investment for them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I would say we're getting a lot younger landlords coming on board as well. Some of them doing it professionally, you know, they've left their jobs, added portfolios. So there's a lot more who think, do you know what, I can actually do this as a job. I can earn all right money. I can do all right doing this. You know, it's still most landlords do it as a sideline to their current job, but you know there is a lot more youngsters coming in and really enjoying it and going down the route of, you know, that we've even got landlords who've young landlords who've come in and knocked flats down and built houses and rented the houses out, you know, and stuff like that. And they've done it sensibly. You know, they've gone to the bank with a business plan and it's worked really well, and they're getting good yields. And, you know, like you say, 20, 30, well, even 40 years time for these kids, they'll, you know, they come to cash in, it'll be probably the best investment they've ever made.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite an achievement as well, isn't it? You know, you can actually see what you spent your money on, and you can see it grow as well. And I think that's it's quite nice for people to see that.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So on the flip side of that, then the tenants, the landlords need to find a good tenant for their business, I suppose, to work. It's important to have a good tenant in the property. So when tenants are going to view properties, then what do you think that they should be really taking into consideration?
Well, there's a few things with a tenant. I think first thing with a tenant, I would be wanting to find out, is the property a long-term let, or is it a landlord just looking to rent it for a couple of years and sell it on? Also, who's going to be managing the property? Because a lot of agents will let only. We do let only, where we find the tenant, then hand the management over to the landlord. Or obviously there's a management. So obviously you get the professional landlords who manage it, which should be fine. But, you know, agents. The other thing with an agent as well, and this appeals to landlords as well, you want to go with a registered agent. So an agent who, you know, at the end of the day, we get checked on. So we have clients' accounts which are checked on a yearly basis. And we're part of the Ombudsman scheme. We're part of Safe Agent, Property Mark. Oh my God, I could go on. We seem to be a member of most things. But the more obviously an agent is a member of something, the more security it gives you as a landlord and it gives you as a tenant, because everything is done well and is checked. So that obviously gives you the security. So obviously check who's going to be managing it, who's going to be your contact during the time of your tenancy. The other thing with a tenant is make sure you get the house in the right area. You know, have a look round, see what there is, compare prices. I mean, these property portals nowadays, you can see what the house rented out last time. You can see what Joe Bloggs across the road's paying in rent. You know, there's no secrets out there. So do your homework first. But equally, look, if you're looking to rent for a couple of years, just find somewhere which suits you until you get to know the area. But more and more people, we're in a bit of people kind of call it generation rent at the moment. So I know the Europeans are big renters and find us a bit odd that we buy our properties, but you know, there's a lot of generation at the moment. So people are leaving university and they're looking for a certain style of accommodation. So the HMOs, which is houses of multiple occupations, are very, very popular at the moment. So they're relocating to jobs in different areas. They're moving in houses of 10, 15 plus people in there with ensuite rooms, communal kitchens, communal living rooms. And these properties are very high standard. They have a set monthly payment, which includes rent and their bills, which they like. So they, as a youngster, you like to know what you've got left in your bank each month after you've paid your rent. And equally you're moving in and making some friends in a new area, very similar. So we have some contracts with some companies up here which put people in there, but it's very, very popular. So that's a very growing market at the moment. A lot of the younger landlords are going into that because it's a good yield. It's a really good yield, buying an old B&B and turning it into a HMO. So very popular. But as a tenant, certainly you need to make sure that who's going to be managing it while you're in there, and B, make sure that it's the right property in the right area. If you've got kids, because often we've got tenants who said, oh, we're only going to be here 3 years, and 10 years later they're still there. So it is making sure that because moving house isn't cheap. Getting a removal van, going through all the checks, doing this, doing that, it's not cheap. I think someone said you're looking 4 or 5 grand on average to move house each time. So not something you want to do on a yearly basis. So finding the right property at the right time which suits you or suits your family to grow into is definitely the way forward as a tenant. But I do think mainly the most important thing is to make sure you know who's going to be managing that property for you.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think housing multiple occupancy are a great idea for a lot of people because, like you say, they may have just left uni. Maybe they don't want to live on their own. Maybe they don't want to buy somewhere and rattle around in a house on their own, or rent somewhere a house. Maybe they want to be surrounded by their friends, and it's a big stepping stone, I suppose, leaving university and moving into your own place. It's a bit of a transition period for them, I suppose, as well, for a lot of sort of postgraduates just leaving uni. It's a nice place for them to be with their friends.
Well, it is. The student accommodation at the moment, it's unbelievable. It wasn't when I was a student, I can guarantee you. But some of the accommodation, you go, we don't do student lettings, but if you go around these big tower blocks which have been put up for students, and they've got 24/7 concierges to take their Amazon packages, and gyms and supermarkets, and I'm just waiting to find one with a spa, really. It's just unbelievable. So they have quite high standards, and quite rightly so, when they come out of these properties. So these HMOs have got to be good standard. We've had HMOs recently. They're all en suite, most of them. Really high standard. They like things included in them. And you've got to do the little things to keep them happy. But you're absolutely right. A lot of these postgrads are moving to companies in different areas that they haven't lived with before, and they've used to obviously being at uni and moving into accommodation and making friends. So they're used to the communal living aspect of it, and they move in and they like it. Like I say, you can make 10, 15 friends pretty much overnight, and it's generally the companies like them, the landlord likes them because the yields are very, very, very good, and the tenants like them. You'll have a tenant come and say, I'll rent here for 6 months or whatever, and 3 years later they're still there and enjoying it, making new friends. And one thing we've noticed, that the tenant moving in and out of HMOs has definitely lengthened. They're definitely staying longer than they used to, which means that it's obviously working and obviously enjoying it. Very popular with certainly the younger tenant.
I've noticed it's become a lot more popular as well. More landlords seem to be talking about it. I think what I really wanted to get across today more than anything is the importance of using an expert, because, I've had clients say to me before, I'm going to buy this property and I'll just manage it myself. But then, there's electricity certificates, gas certificates. There's so many regulations now, aren't there? And if you've got, even one property or a couple of properties, you forget these things, and you can't make that mistake in the industry, can you? You can't make that mistake where you've forgotten to renew your certificates, because you're providing someone with a home, you have a responsibility. And I think it's so important to get the advice from experts like you in that area.
Well, you're absolutely right. If you just take the obviously the most common document used in rentals, a tenancy agreement. Last year, the tenancy agreement was updated about 7 or 8 times in a 12-month period. So if you're not within this loop, we have an all singing or dancing computer system, which luckily for us updates it as soon as there is an update online. And you've got to, whenever a tenancy is issued or renewed, you have to provide certain documentation. When you take a deposit, you have to register it and provide the documentation to the tenant. So it has to be done properly. It has to be done right. You might have a great relationship with your tenant as a landlord, and then you come out and say, well, it needs a clean or whatever. You've got to have done it right, and you have to build that relationship. But if you haven't registered it, or you haven't registered the tenancy, or you have not used the most up-to-date tenancy, there'll be certain things that will come back and bite you at the end. So yeah, it's very important to get the right documentation. Make sure you're also providing the right documentation with it. Inventory is extremely important, not only for a landlord but for a tenant as well. It's really important to have a photographed inventory, which obviously we provide and do. And everything is very important photographed, which is fair on the tenant and fair on the landlord. So there's a documentation of how the property is when they go in. But having the right stuff's really, really, really important.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. It's being fair on tenants and landlords, isn't it? Like you say, making sure all the photos are there when they move into the property, and then the same photos are taken when they leave. So it's very, very clear if there's been any damage or anything like that. It's protecting the landlord and the tenant. That's it. That's what you want to achieve.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely correct. But also during the term of the tenancy, problem reporting. You need certain. We've got a problem reporting system, online problem reporting, which takes a tenant go through the process. They have to provide photographs and everything of what is wrong. So then we can issue that to a contractor at any time for a contractor to go out and fix the problem. 9 times out of 10, that contractor will only have to go once, because he'll have model numbers, serial numbers, and he can get the part and go get it fixed, which is better for the tenant, because they're not having to take time off work, or they're not having to worry about a broken fridge or a broken this or a broken tap. It gets fixed pretty quickly. And it's equally easier for the landlord, because obviously we have contractors that we use, and obviously give them a lot of work, so they generally will do the jobs quickly, do it well, and it's a good income stream for a contractor as well. So it's having the right thing. A lot of letting agents have gone away from the emergency contact numbers since the tenancy tenant fee ban that came in, but we still have that 24/7 problem reporting online system, and it's dead easy for one of us to we all get notified of the problem and allocate it to the correct contractor and let the tenant know. So it's not just paperwork, it's actually having somebody who can we've got some stories. We used to have a mobile number, and you'd have tenants ring you on a night and can't shut the garage door, 1:30 in the morning, or lost my house keys, or this or that. So as a landlord, I don't think, landlord, young children, I don't think I would want somebody ringing me at that time with those problems. is to have a system in place which works for all parties. It works for the tenant, so they're happy. If a tenant is happy, they will stay longer, which is great. That's what you want. Obviously, you don't have any void periods of your property, so you've got to conquer the problems that they, have, and you need to conquer them quickly and as possible. And also, as a tenant, as a landlord, you don't want the phone ringing at certain hours of the night for lost keys or this or that. So it equally takes that pressure off you by letting somebody else deal with that problem.
I think so as well. And like you say, having the contact to the contractors, I think, is very important. And, trying to get someone to come to, do any kind of work in the property is quite hard, because contractors are really, really busy. So you tend to find that you're on a waiting list for a period of time. But, if you already have the contractors all lined up, ready to go, and you have that contact with them, it's a lot better for the tenants, isn't it? They'll hopefully get their issues sorted a bit quicker.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Good contractors, are busy. They're busy for a reason. So, we certainly have certain contractors which will, push us up the queue, which is great. But it is, as an individual landlord with 2 or 3 properties, if you suddenly had a water pipe burst or something like that, it's nothing more frustrating than trying to get a plumber out at 11 o'clock at night. It's difficult, but we've got those relationships in place, and we've got a system which is fair and everything like that. Every tenant, if there's a water pipe, they'll know where the stop tap is, they'll know everything, so we all know all that. But equally, they know that a contractor will be out as soon as we possibly can.
Yeah. Gosh, I feel like we've gone through a lot, haven't we? We have today. We've done really well. Is there anything else that you wanted to discuss, Simon?
Not really. I think we've been pretty much through everything, really. Like I say, the one thing is, if you are a landlord or a tenant, you have any issues, don't feel shy to contact us. We will, even if we're not managing or anything with you, we're always here to help. We like to help people here, so pick up the phone or go onto our website and drop us an email and we'll give you a ring. And like I say, we're always here to help, whether you're a tenant, whether you're a contractor looking for work, or whether you're a landlord or private landlord, or with an agent and stuck with something. We're always happy to help. So.
Oh, that's lovely. Nice, approachable company. That's
that's
nice. So where would be the best way to get information about you? Would it be the website or?
Yeah, I think the website's always a good call. So that's www.rwlettings.co.uk. So you've got our telephone numbers on there, Leeds, Harrogate office, and you've also got our email address, which is a generic address which goes to everyone. So you never know you get the spin of the wheel, who's going to come back to you. So it is one of those things. But yeah, always reach out to us. Our properties are obviously, we're on all major portals, as most people are. And have a look. But if you want to speak to us of any advice, if you're thinking of getting into buying properties, or you need to know what areas to buy in certain areas, give us a shout and we'll put you in touch with the right person who will help you, who's the expert in that area.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you ever so much for coming on today. I've really enjoyed speaking to you. And like I said at the beginning, everyone's busy, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come on. So thanks very much, Simon.
My pleasure, anytime. Thank you.
Okay, see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.